I want to continue to talk about this one right here on Live Now from Fox and bring in our next guest, a friend here of the show, Neama Rahmani, former federal prosecutor. Thanks so much for joining us. And yeah, another win there for President-elect.
Mike, another day, another win for President-elect Donald Trump. And this was a big one because this was really the last remaining criminal case. And obviously, we know Jack Smith moved to dismiss the cases that he's handling in D.C. and in South Florida. But in Fulton County, Fani Willis, pictured there, hired her boyfriend, Nathan Wade, paid him with taxpayer funds when it was really questionable whether he was qualified to handle a case like this. He certainly had never done so. And she was really on her heels. She had to explain this relationship. Ultimately, the trial judge, McAfee, disqualified Wade, but the defense, including Trump, appealed that decision. And today, a three-judge panel of the Georgia Court of Appeals, all three of them Republican appointees, but two out of the three said that Fani Willis herself has to be disqualified. So I think this is the end of the road for the Fulton County case. I don't think another prosecutor in Georgia is going to pick it up. It's been botched, frankly. And the Department of Justice has some long-standing policies and guidance that says that a sitting president can't be prosecuted anyway. So this case probably should have been dismissed earlier.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking, legal experts as well, during all of this that was happening with you had the love triangle there, and it seemed like there were so many cracks in the case to begin with Fani just even presenting this. Was there anything that that could have happened during the indictments that could have maybe have saved the case there for Fulton County if they got rid of Fani? Or who would have had to step in and say, okay, Fani, we need you to drop down because there's too much baggage with you right now?
Potentially, yes. And I've used the word botched to describe this case because it really was botched from the beginning. Let's talk about all the mistakes Fani Willis made. Setting aside bringing her personal relationship into the case, a case that was going to be one of the most politically charged prosecutions in American history. You got to be more careful. You got to be more professional. You got to be more ethical if you're the prosecutor. But setting that aside, procedurally, there were so many mistakes made in this case. Fani Willis was the last of the four prosecutors to charge, which meant that her case was fourth in line. She didn't just charge Donald Trump like Jack Smith did. She didn't have a surgical case. She took a kitchen sink approach. She charged 19 different co-defendants. So what that means is every motion, every witness could be examined by 19 different defense lawyers. Now, a small number of them did take a plea, so maybe that was a win there. But as we saw in another case that she handled, that frankly I think she botched as well, the YSL Young Thug case where she charged a lot of different co-defendants, that case took years. And finally, at the end of the case, all she got were not guilty pleas, and the pleas that she did get resulted in time served and probation. You can't charge that many co-defendants at once. It slows down the process. So lots of different mistakes were made in terms of the timing, in terms of the charges, in terms of the number of defendants. And she suffered really defeat after defeat in this case, with some of the charges being dismissed and now herself being removed from the case entirely.
And Neama, what about the resources and the money put up for this case here from the county? How much of that was just all up in the air now?
A significant waste of time and money. And again, I keep bringing up the Young Thug case, another case that she handled similarly. Street gang case where, it took 2 years and the results weren't there. And now you have something similar where you have a significant use of taxpayer funds and really a case that was already being handled by the feds and Jack Smith. So she was trying to pile on for political reasons. And I understand why you're charging some of the other individuals, the Meadows, the Giulianis that Jack Smith didn't. Maybe you want to bring them to justice. But really, in terms of the use of resources and taxpayer funds and court time, it ultimately ended up being a mistake, and really a mistake that was her own doing. A lot of self-inflicted wounds here, especially because of this personal romantic relationship.
It seems like for many on the outside looking into this, it seems like Fani thought this case would put her on a podium, put her, elevate it, going after former president, but now it seems like this very case is going to be maybe the sinking of her.
It may be her undoing. And, Mike, we've talked about this. I wish that prosecution decisions weren't made by politicians, but every prosecutor in this country is elected or appointed by someone who was elected. So obviously we know, Fulton County where it leans politically. And, to the extent that it may have been a righteous case, the way she handled it really was poor at best. And she brought in her personal baggage and issues, and she took the stand in a really extraordinary moment. We're covering it here on Live Now, live TV, where the district attorney is taking a stand explaining her romantic relationship, who paid for what on cruises and vacations. I mean, it was an embarrassment and really a circus. It's something I've never seen in my more than 20 years of practice. And it's really all come to an end right now. Now, I expect Willis to appeal to the Georgia Supreme Court, and they, of course, can reverse this decision. But I really think the damage has been done. It's too little, too late. Donald Trump has been elected. It's time to close the chapter on this case and move on. Take the L.
There we go. Neama Rahmani, always great to speak with you. Always great insight as always. Thanks so much for joining us on Live Now.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
No problem. All right, everyone, and we will take our first break here.